Hello, it's Sally again. 6th of August, the 6th day of commitment to Leicester's 6 Steps to Freedom. So today I've been working with inner bullies, inner critics, as some people call them. I'd rather call it an inner bully because it's not really critical or logical, it's just bullying. And working on how we can release that. And that came on the heels of today having some really old trauma triggered. I resist that word, but we don't have to be scared of what comes up here because we can release it. So, yep, some old trauma from long decades ago related to sexual assault when I was 17 came up. And I started to go into a tailspin thinking that, but the Sedona Method can't release this stuff. And it's not powerful enough. And it's true that the Sedona Method is not a trauma releasing method, nor is it a replacement for psychotherapy or any medical treatment. So it's important to recognize that. But how can I work with that? And one way of working with it was the acknowledging how I wanted to make it real and present now, because it feels like it protects me against it. And being angry about it is better than feeling helpless. So there's a sort of energetic cycle that gets triggered by that to sort of trying to avoid the pain. So that's one way. And another approach, which obviously we can't do in a few minutes video, is to welcome everything. If you can't welcome, allowing is fine, or even acknowledging everything that's connected to that event, all the sadness, all the anger, all the feelings of vulnerability, all the feelings of it was personal. It was something about me that caused it. All the self-blame, all of that can be released. It can be brought up into consciousness, it can be welcomed, and it can be released. And I say that because that's been my experience and what I've seen in other people. And so that started to lighten the load a little, also working with other people, which always works too. And then in the last hour or two, I was working with another Sedona Method practitioner, and we were working on the inner bully, as I mentioned earlier, which is sort of connected with this idea of I was terrible, I let this thing happen, it was my fault, I should never be forgiven. So the inner bully is like the prosecutor, and it really doesn't have any interest in you being found innocent. It's one of those people that you see in TV courtrooms who every time you come up with any kind of softness or defense, they go right in there. They're merciless, those people, barristers, on those kind of cases. And it's a bit like one of those. So wherever you go, this thing's going to come with you and tell you that you don't deserve what you've got, that you're never going to get any more, that doing stuff like this is completely pointless, that you should just knuckle down. You know, it's just that voice. And if it did some good, we would listen to it, but it doesn't really do any good. Mostly it just destroys your energy and creates a lot of anxiety and creates a lot of resistance. So how do we release on that? I must say it took half an hour to work, for both of us to work each side. But we got there in the end, and so we started to see it for what it was, see that the bullying voice is not me. It doesn't belong to me. It's part of a past configuration which happens to us all. We internalize other voices when we're little. And we started to play with the idea of what life would be like without the inner bully. And it was looking pretty good. And I've always thought this idea of, like Lester talks, Hale talks out of being limitless. I thought, well, I'm not going to go and be a footballer or a gymnast or a dancer, so I'm limited. And that's a little, of course that's true, but that's a slightly gross interpretation of what they're saying. And what I'm understanding that they mean by limitless is that you don't listen to that voice, because that voice is actually a memory. It's got nothing to do with the future. And so in all of this, how was I trying to make the world real, wanting to make the world real, more than I was wanting freedom? And one is to think there's some truth or there's some resolution by looking into the past and regenerating the emotions from the past. And another one was by believing that this inner bully voice was helping or doing any good, or actually when we started to release it, realizing that I believed it was actually me and there was no way I could ever get rid of it. So that's been a pretty good day releasing. I've just got my support call in a few minutes, so I'll just go and get ready for that. So thank you for your attention, and again, links are below the video, as is an opportunity to book a try out session with me. So thank you.